I'm a fun guy. Obviously, I love the game of basketball. I mean, it's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself. I just can't give you a whole spiel.
With the official news of Paul George signing to the Philadelphia 76ers, it's time to ask the question, should Kawhi Leonard have left the Toronto Raptors in 2019 when he won the championship? This question has been asked before, but now more than ever is the most appropriate time to ask it. Paul George was a big reason why Kawhi signed with the Clippers in the first place. It wasn't only because he was going home. First, let's take this back to the beginning, almost the beginning, you could say. There's a lot of variables that led up to all of this that I want to go through, which takes us to the San Antonio Spurs. During the last part of Kawhi's run with the team, as we know, he was dealing with a lot of injury. I'm going to remind y'all the quote that Tony Parker, his Hall of Famer teammate, said about him during this time. He said, "I've been through it. It was a rehab for me for 8 months. Same kind of injury, but mine was 100 times worse. But the same kind of injury. You just stay positive." Now, if that wasn't bad enough coming from a teammate like a Tony Parker, here's an actual video that I'll play for you that Manu Ginobili said when asked about Kawhi Leonard returning back to the Spurs lineup.
He's not coming back. For me, he's not coming back because he's not helping. We fell for it a week ago again. I guess you guys made us fall for it. But as I said maybe a month ago, I don't know when it was, we gotta think that he's not coming back, that we are who we are.
Now you got another Hall of Famer who was on Kawhi's team at the time when these comments were made, even going as far as to say that they were fooled. We fell for it. And in hindsight, as I'm hearing these clips, it's making me think there's no way Kawhi Leonard could have been faking these kind of injuries or not playing through it and just decided to sit out for 6 years in a row. The more time goes on and the more you see all of what has transpired, it makes these clips seem like, oh no, there was a real issue going on here. And at that time, there was a lot of questions going on. And this is going to lead into my next point now. They end up trading him, right? And as they trade him, nobody knows exactly what is going on. He goes to the Toronto Raptors. There's still people wondering, is he 100% healthy? How much is he going to play? He has a lot to prove in terms of can he still play at that elite finals MVP superstar kind of level. On top of that, there is still questions in the background in terms of we never seen him outside of a Greg Popovich San Antonio Spurs system. What will Kawhi look like on another team? Was he just a homegrown kind of product that the Spurs had and they raised him up coming to this organization? And these kind of thoughts were especially more prevalent back in 2014. Y'all remember when Kevin Durant made the tweet that basically Kawhi Leonard was more of a system player? If I remember correctly, and y'all could double check this for me, but he made this tweet right after the Spurs eliminated the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, I may be wrong, but double check that. I'm pretty sure, okay? Let's get to the Toronto Raptors side of this. He's traded up north. Him and DeMar DeRozan are the main pieces within this swap. He comes there as a champion, finals MVP. He made 2 All-NBA first teams. At this point, the Raptors were a successful playoff team. They didn't have to give up much, got their whole roster to get him. Despite all of this, though, if you look at the GM surveys headed into the season, and this was done when the Raptors acquired Kawhi, the Raptors were not favorites to win, okay, as you see on the screen here. Of course, this is the year that Golden State Warriors had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and all of them boys. But Boston was next, Houston. There's no other team here. So clearly, these GMs had what they thought was for sure fire teams that would win the title. There's no real pressure for Kawhi Leonard to deliver a championship. His only pressure is showing people that he can still play basketball at a really high level and he's ready to go. And as the season goes along, what a lot of people don't realize too is he was doing load management. Toronto, however, is not the media coveted favorite kind of team to, follow along throughout the NBA circles. So a lot of people didn't realize this. But yes, he was doing load management within the season as well. The only difference is the Raptors management was confident that, look, let's just rest Kawhi Leonard. The regular season is not that important to us at this point. We want that championship. He'll be ready for the postseason to play. Let's just give him what he wants and really make sure that he's comfortable. And boy, did that ever pay off.
We've sort of forgotten Kawhi Leonard. And then he goes to Toronto, and they're a very good team.
Kawhi Leonard reminds me of Michael Jordan. And I'm not saying you know, I'm not comparing him to Mike, but if you watch the way he plays, his style, the way he plays the game on both ends, he can have a game that mimics Michael Jordan.
Very strong words as you hear. During this playoff run, there is no more load management. He's busting everyone's you-know-what. Offense, defense, he's doing his thing in the playoffs. And I could get into more details with the whole tenure and that Raptors run that he had. But for the video's sake, I want to get to the crux of what my point is. So he plays a tremendous role in the Raptors winning a championship. Here's where things start getting dicey. You hear all the rumors about him wanting to go back home to Los Angeles. There's rumors linking him to the Lakers, Clippers. You heard the reports that there was literally scouts at Raptors games every single time. Clippers scouts making sure that their presence was known, that, hey, Kawhi, we want you to come home. And this was happening throughout the whole season, right? Keep that in mind. Kawhi Leonard is now a free agent, fresh off a championship. Here's what maybe most people don't know. There was the rumblings, reports going on that he was very much interested in signing back with the Toronto Raptors. He wanted Masai, though, to go and trade and get Paul George. And in order to make that trade happen, Masai had to give up a Pascal Siakam. I don't want to make this all speculative and he say, she say. Kawhi Leonard obviously is not going to be somebody that comes out and says everything that's on his mind. That's not his personality. But from what I understand, it sounded like he had some doubts about the talent on the Toronto Raptors. He wanted another bona fide star right beside him. That's why he really was asking for a Paul George. Masai Ujiri didn't do the trade, large part because he actually believed in Pascal Siakam becoming somebody who could be a really great option, and he did. I believe he was the second best player on that championship run. Nonetheless, Masai turns down the deal. However, as we know, the Clippers end up trading for Paul George. They gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and roughly 5 first-round picks to get him. Then the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George era begins, 2019 to 2020 season. This year, though, the Raptors, they were a 53-win team, and this was during the bubble, so they were 53-19. Second in the East behind the Milwaukee Bucks. They were doing this all without Kawhi Leonard, their superstar, and also Danny Green. Danny Green was not on this team. He was a starting shooting guard, a very serviceable role player who was great at defense and three-point shooting. A strong argument could be made that this team was just missing a superstar player like Kawhi Leonard, who they once had just the year before. Now, despite their resilience and always trying to fight and claw, eventually the team started breaking apart, and then it leads to the whole rebuild, and they get Scotty Barnes. If Kawhi Leonard stays, though, he signs maybe a 2-3 year deal. There's no way I see that happening. They probably would have got one more, maybe, depending on Kawhi Leonard's health. Overall, it just seemed like the team was there. They just needed a star in Kawhi. Now let's look at how things went during this time for the Clippers up until now. As you see, the furthest they went was a conference finals, which happened in one of the years that they were together. That was pretty much it. To be fair, the most important context I have to add is the injuries. All right, Paul George was dealing with injuries himself during this time. At moments, Kawhi Leonard, vice versa. Just never seemed like them two together really had a chance over these years. It was always some kind of injury they were dealing with, especially with Kawhi, unfortunately. I'm going to end things right here. Y'all let me know what you think. Did Kawhi Leonard make the right decision in leaving the Toronto Raptors and coming to the Clippers? Would a difference have been made given that Kawhi just wasn't always healthy? I say that second year, if he came back with the Raptors, he may have got one more that year. After that season, I'm not too sure. Again, let me know in the comment section. Holla below. And as always, salute for listening. Peace.